I am Dr. Vishal S. Kumar, Assistant Professor, Department of Kaumara Kritya, JSS Ayurveda Medical College, Mysore, shall be hosting today's session. Let me take this opportunity to welcome you all for the fifth day of Ojus 2020 International Webinar on Immunology, organized by the Department of Kaya Chikitsa, JSS Ayurveda Medical College, Mysore. Today, we have the day 5 of scientific session. Knowledge becomes powerful and serves its purpose when it is getting shared. Past 4 days, we have witnessed and listened to the eminent speakers, renowned academicians from all over the world sharing their experiences and knowledge. Today also, we are fortunate to have Dr. Murali Krishna Parashuram and Dr. Parameshwarappa S. Byadgi with us sharing their knowledge. On behalf of JSS Ayurveda Medical College, I wholeheartedly welcome the distinguished speakers to the scientific session of Ojus 2020. Moving on to the first session, we have Dr. P. Murali Krishna, Professor, Department of PG Studies in Panchakarma, SV Ayurveda Medical College and Hospital, Tirupati, Andhra Pradesh. Sir has completed BAMS from Nagarjuna University in the year 1986 by securing first rank and double gold medals. Completed post-graduation in Kaya Chikitsa from the prestigious Benares Hindu University in 1993 and PhD from SS University, Varanasi. Sir also holds Doctor of Science degree from the Open International University for Complementary Medicine, Colombo in 1997 for best professional activity in the field of Ayurveda. Also, Sir has completed postgraduate diploma in yoga from Benares Hindu University. Sir is a recipient of numerous awards like Vaidya Ram Narayana Sharma Memorial Baidyanath Foundation Award in 1992 for Best Scientific Paper in All India Postgraduate Level Competition on Scientific Basis of Ayurvedic Diagnostics. Received Outstanding Young Indian, a National Award from Junior Chamber International India in 2006 for the outstanding performance in the field of science and its application to society. Recipient of Dhanvantari Award 2016 for outstanding services to Ayurveda. Sir has published 25 papers in peer-reviewed journals, headed 10 research projects, and presented 94 papers in various national and international seminars. Also chaired around 20 scientific sessions in various seminars and gave many radio talks on Ayurveda and health. Sir is also serving as a chairman of Institutional Ethics Committee of Research Wing of Ayurveda, Sri Chandrasekharendra Saraswati Vishwa Mahavidyalaya, Deemed University, Kanchipuram. Today, Sir is dealing with the topic, role of Naimittika Rasayana in clinical practice. We are extremely happy and honored to have you here, sir. May I request you to start the session?
Yeah. Namaste. Can you listen me?
Yes, sir. It is audible.
Yeah. Let me take this opportunity to thank the organizers conducting such an excellent international webinar for the last 5 days. Especially, I thank the organizers, principal, and the Department of Kaya Chikitsa and other departments who have directly and indirectly supporting this great event. Really, I must thank Professor Sudhakar Reddy for inviting me to this, and Dr. Beenaji of the Department of Kaya Chikitsa. I also have the senior professors like Guru Raja sir in front of me, and even other people who are invisible. I do not know, they are all probably watching me. I am given this topic of role of Naimittika Rasayana in clinical practice. Really, the Rasayana is a very, very important and a very alluring area for everybody, because this is only a unique branch in entire Ayurveda where the modern system hasn't even conceived the fundamentals of Rasayana. So let me take this opportunity to refresh you within 60 minutes. Let me brief you what actually the Naimittika Rasayana is. And before going to that, I will also share some practical views of Naimittika Rasayana in clinical practice. Okay. Yes. Susruta rightly says the theory and practice are two wings of the bird. If you have excellent theory and without practice, and if you have excellent practical knowledge without sound basis of theory, you can never fly high in the academic activity. And even all the Vedic connotations say that one has to live for 100 years or even beyond that, with all their empowerment. That means ability to listen, ability to watch, ability to do their activity without any dependency. All these things are there, which are known to you well. And I am inspired by three important great sayings which I want to share with you. The greatness of science is not in the form of knowledge acquired, but in its application. Homi Bhabha is a very famous nuclear physician, nuclear scientist of India. You must be knowing, and a space scientist also. But especially what I want to say is, we say several things from Ayurveda, but application is very, very important. So that is what it is very suitable to the Ayurvedic faculty. The science is not in the form of knowledge acquired, but in its application. More you apply in the day-to-day practice, more will be the validity of the science. Similarly, J.R.D. Tata, the very famous personality, says success can never be achieved without deep thought and hard work. You have to live in that thought process, and you have to do physically, mentally, and keeping all your efforts with the hard work. Then only you can achieve the things. And I also admire this Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. As long as I do live, so long as I do learn. The clinical profession is like that. Till the last breath, we have to go on learning the things. But you also know health may not be everything, but everything without health is nothing. Because once the health is deteriorated, one will be knowing the importance of health. Till the time, we never care for the health. So that is the reason why Ayurveda says given due importance to the health. And there is a simile also explained. A vehicle with strong axle runs its full course because of the quality of its axle. Likewise, our life is also will run its full course by maintaining the body carefully and systematically. So that is the reason why probably there is no other system in the world has explained much dealing with the lifestyle, diet habits, and livelihood of the individual than Ayurveda. So that is the greatness and uniqueness of Ayurveda. Ayurveda says, Nagari Nagarasyeva Radhasyeva Radhiyada Swasarirasya Medhavi Krutyeshvavahito Bhavet. So if you are a wise person, so you have to take care of your health. That is a very, very important thing. So that is the yardstick for the wiseness. And medicines should have the following qualities. Of course, they are said in the context of Vasti, but Alpamatram, it must be very small doses. Mahavegam, it must be very fast acting. Bahudoshaharam, so broad spectrum. Sukham, it doesn't cause any harmful effects. Laghupakam, easily digestible. Sukhaswadam, patient compliance and acceptability is very good. Prinanam, and it is going to nourish the individual. Vyadhinasanam, at the same time, Vyadhi has to be ameliorated. Avikaricha Vyapato, it should not create any Vyapats. Na atiglani karam chayat. That means it doesn't cause any saidhilya in the body. Gandhavarna rasopetam, it must be pleasant in the smell, appearance, and taste. Vidyaman matravad aushadam. So Charka rightly said that the quality of medicine must be like this. It must be having these qualities, then you can consider it as the best medicine. If you see here, the another important quotation which I like to share with you in this platform is Purusham Purusham Vichya Sagneyo Bishaguttamaha. If you individualize the treatment, that is the very ideal way of your Uttama Vaidhyatva. That is, if you are expert Vaidya, so you have to individualize the treatment than generalization. And once you come to the Rasayana, because lot of things might have dealt, I could not actually connect to the for last 4 proceedings. So because of my preoccupied work in our hospital. So, but I know that I don't want to say all these basic things because all these might have dealt in the last 4 days. So Rasayana, you will be knowing what actually, but I want to share with you the last part, labhopayo hi sastanam rasadinam rasayanam. So that means prashasta rasadis. That is the ultimate aim of the rasayana. That means if you create an excellent building, the building must have all the components in a very quality way. So then the building can survive for longer period. Similarly, if a human body composed of 7 dhatus, if all the sapta dhatus are perfect, prashasta in nature, then naturally that sharira is going to survive for longer period, and which is free from any disease also. That is what actually the prasastanam rasadinam dhatunam labhopayaha iti rasayana. So the rasayana is the very quality, but several quality attributes are there. But of course, the very important thing is it has to procure or give the sapta dhatus which are in excellent form. Then the longevity can be preserved. So the benefits of rasayana, which I already told you, that I need not say dirgham ayus smritirmeda arogyam taranam vayaha. That here I want to quote the mandajara, slow aging is a very important thing. That means you will have a doubt whether the aging process can be slowed down. The biological aging can be slowed down. Yes, modern science says that there is a chronological aging and biological aging. Biological aging is determined by the cell structure, and chronological aging is determined by your date of birth. So you may be 55 years or 60 years, but your biological aging may be less than that or more than that. So there are factors which slow down the biological aging. There are certain factors which fasten the biological aging. These two possibilities are there. So biological aging can be speeded up or it can be slowed down. So that is the reason why rasayana concept is for the mandajara, slow aging. Aging cannot be avoided, but our aim is to slow down the biological aging. So biological aging can be slowed down as you come across certain people who are more than 60 but appears very young. And there are people who are 50 appears more older than their age. So this process is called biological aging. Biological aging is based on several factors which influence each cell of the body. So rasayana, which I don't want to say much about this because very important things might have dealt, I assume. And klesa sahasya, stress adaptation, is a very, very important psychological attribute given for the rasayana. That means if you regularly take rasayana, you are empowered to adopt these stressful situations. So that is the great thing which one can see, because stress is a very important factor for fastening the biological aging process. Suprasanna balavarna indriyaha. This is also very important. So I am not dealing much with this because for this, actually, this concept I must owe to my Banaras University and Professor R.S. Singh. This concept is very, very important because if our aim is to give the best sapta dhatus, that is the objective of the rasayana, but the benefits of that is probably ajjara vyadhi nashanam. That is different. But our prime aim of rasayana is to give the prashasta dhatus. So how we give the prashasta dhatus? By nutrient value. That means rasa. So if the excellent rasa is produced, as we see in the Ajasrika Rasayana, Kshiragruthabhyaso Rasayana nam, best ahara itself is said as going to give the 100 years. Shaktrim satam sahasrani ratrinam hitabhojanaha, he said. Hitabhojana is itself is a best nutrient itself. So first our aim is to give the most nutritious supplement to the all dhatus. That is one. So how we can give the best quality rasa? Because we come across such people, they take good food, but that is not being properly digested and absorbed. And that is what Madhav Nidhana says. The people who used to eat anatmavan pashuvad bhujyate yo apramanatah roganikasya te moolam ajirnam prapnot. So Agni is a very, very important concept in Ayurveda. So whatever the food which is taken, the Agni has to process it and absorb it. So that is the reason why there are rasayanas which act at the level of Agni. There are rasayanas which improve the quality of the food or improve the quality of the rasa by Ajasrika Rasayana. And Agni, we have classical examples of Pippali Vardhamana Kalpa or Pippali Rasayana. And there are also things, because we have Agni, digestion is proper, assimilated, and there is a good food is taken. But if it is not properly circulated, then also there is a disproportionate development of the dhatus. So that is the reason why Srotas is also very important factor. That is the reason why we have Shilajatu, hot water, and even Guggulu. These are all Sroto Rasayanas. In the context of Astapana Vasti, Ayustapanam, Vayastapanam, Va Astapanam, how it is going to stop the Vayas, Ayush, then a commentary is given by Chakrapani. He says that by giving the Lekhana to the body, and it cleans the srotasas, and by cleaning the srotasas, the circulation of the rasa is proper to all the saptadhatus, and it is going to give the best saptadhatus. So that is the reason why there are certain drugs which are acting at the level of srotasas. Classical example is Shilajatu, Guggulu, and also Astapana Vasti. So ultimately what we are giving the good food and properly digested by the Agni, and proper circulation is there, then nourishment is improved, quality of tissue. That is what our aim is. Shastanam Rasadina Rasayanam. But it will give longevity, no doubt. Immunity, Vyadhinasa, Vyadhikshamatva is improved. Mental competence, Medha Vriddhi is, and ultimately rejuvenation is experienced. So that is the reason why Ayurveda says that Saptadhatu is very, very important. Prashasta Saptadhatus is the ultimate aim. That is the prime aim of the Rasayana. And ultimately, the Prashasta Dhatus through Rasayana is going to increase the Ojus, because this is called Saptadhatu Sara. And this is the reason why Urjaskaram, and it is going to induce the Ojas, and Ojas is very, very important for the longevity and quality of life. And this is again Sahajam, Kalajam, Yuktikritam, all these might have dealt. And Agni is also very important. Ayurveda say this is the reason why, as long as you maintain the Agni, then your health is maintained. So that is the reason why Agni is directly linked to. And if you see the classification, we are coming to this level, because this is my area where I need to focus. This is the Naimittika Rasayana. So there is a quotation from Susru Samhita. Dalhana comments upon that. Kamya Naimittika Ajasrika Rasayanam. Ajasrika Rasayana is food related. Kamya Rasayana is Prana Kamya, Medha Kamya, Sri Kamya. Expecting the specific health promoting activities, we focus for the Kamya Rasayana. Naimittikam Vyadhinimittajam. So the purpose is actually, if you see, the very quality of Rasayana is Swastasya Urjaskaram yatu Tadrusyam Tadrasayanam. That means it is going to induce the Urjas, and at the same time it is also going to cure the disease. So disease normalization is also one of the aspects of Rasayana. That is the reason why, if you see, so very important things are narrated in Ayurveda in the context of Rasayana, that it is going to give the quality of life and longevity of life, and it also gives prophylaxis for the genesis of the disease, all these things. That is the reason why Vyadhi Kshamatva, while narrating Vyadhi Kshamatva, Vyadhi Bala Virodhitvam, Vyadhi Utpadaka Pradibandhakatvam. It inhibits the further production of the disease, the very first step. And after getting the disease, there are certain factors which act against the disease process, which will not go for the consequences, fatal consequences. This I want to say, but many people are going to deal with you in the context of the COVID-19. So where the cytokine storm is a very important risk factor for the entire thing, because our innate and adaptive immunity is intact nowadays by the people of India. That is the reason why fatality rate is a very, very less in India conditions. So if this is because at one stage suddenly the immune system has gone for the hyperactivity, and there is a dumping of the cytokines like interleukin 1, gamma interferon, interleukin 6, and tumor necrosing factors, so many things, and they are within no time going to cause the damage to the lung. So this is what actually the perverted immune system is the main cause for the death in even COVID-19. So in the context of that, as long as the immunity is intact, maintaining its integrity till the end, the patient will be asymptomatic or with mild symptoms, he will recover. If it goes for the perversion, maybe influenced by several factors, maybe diet related, Agni related, age related, comorbidity related, so many factors are there. So all those are very important in the context of COVID-19, which is not my scope. So Ayurveda says that our very nature is healthiness. You remember, that is the reason why we call it as swastha, swastiti. Our basic quality is healthy. We on and off go deviate from the natural norms, natural laws, and we are punished for some time and get back to normalcy. So this is called swabhavo paramavad. Vyadi kshamatva, in the context of that, I told you, resist the genesis, resist the progress. Both are very important. So resist the genesis is, it is going to prevent the forthcoming diseases, and at the same time, second is vyadi bala virodhitva, means there are factors which are acting against the disease process so that the disease will not go for complicative stage. So here, this is also not going to be discussed much with this because several other important issues are there. Even I say just very simply, Bhava Prakasha says that every decade one quality is lost from our body. That is Balyam Vruddhi Chavir Medha Tvak Drusti Shukra Vikrama Buddhi Karmendriya Cheto Jivito Dashato Haret. So 10 years we lose certain qualities forever from our body. So to supplement that, there are even restorative rasayanas are also mentioned. So very important is, whenever you give the rasayana, always say Shuddha Kostasu Tanjatva Rasayanam Upacharet. Always you have to purify the body, then only the rasayana will be very effective. So Harita Kyadi Yoga is the best Kosta Shuddhi. It is said how it has to be taken. The after Sneha Svedas, the Shuddha Sariraya Kruta Samsajjanaya, that Harita Kyadi Churna has to be given, Samsajjana Krama has to be done, and then there is a diet schedule given, and then the Rasayana drugs are advocated. So that is the reason why Kosta Shuddhata, that is Shodhana, is a very, very important factor for the. So we have different Naimitika Rasayanas also, which we call in Agriyadikaranam Tvachyam, Keshyam, Chachusyam, Varnyam, Hrudyam, Medhyam, Kantyam, Stanyam, Rishyam. So like that, several things are there mentioned in Charaka Sutrasthanam 25th chapter, even Ashtanga Hridayam also. So these are of course very famous Rasayana drugs. Everybody, every clinician is very popularly knowing these things because these are all at one step or another step we regularly use them. Okay. And very important thing which I want to say here is why we need to go for Naimitika Rasayana. Because if you treat the disease and then go for general Rasayana, why you need to go for Naimitika Rasayana? So Rasayana itself is said in Susru Sutrasthanam, Upadravaistu ye justa vyadhayo yantyavaaryatam rasayanad vina. So without Rasayana, you cannot control the Upadravas of the disease. That's very, very important. Dalhana, while commenting upon that, Rasayanid asadhyo vyadhirapi prayaha sadhyate. Rasayanad vina avaryatam yanti. That means if you do not give the Rasayana for any management of the disease, sometimes sadhya vyadhi will become asadhya. But if you give the Rasayana, even asadhya vyadhi also will become sadhya. So that is very, very important. Try to remember, my friends, that your prescription must have one Rasayana for the people who come from any of the disease conditions. That's very, very important. So in the context of the Charaka Samhita, it is said, there is a quotation, Rasayane noktaha jvaradi haratvam. So kasadikare agastya haritaki pandurogetu yogarajo. So this is what actually they have, the specific disease amelioration, at the same time Rasayana effect. Shatat Shine Sarpikudam. These are the examples given for the Rasayana, Naimitika Rasayana in the contest by commentators. We know popularly the Chavanapras. Because it is popular, why? Because there is advertisement from the corporate companies. And also the very important thing which I want to quote here, my physicians, is you always adopt the quality medicine. Because very unfortunate thing in Ayurveda is, in the same name we can get the different companies manufacture the Chavanapras. Suppose if we say the Chavanapras of a particular company, may not be effective than the other companies. So that variability is there in the company wise activity. So can you listen? Yes. Hello. So the Pippali Rasayana. Yeah.
Audible,
can you listen? Can you listen?
Yes, audible.
Yeah.
Audible, sir.
Okay. So this is very important, because why I say there are several people who have inhibition of Chyawanprash, because majority of some of our very important drugs go for OTC, over the counter sales. Once you go for over the counter sales, physician is inhibited to prescribe. That is a very unfortunate thing. If you write the Chyawanprash, then patients say, yeah, this is known to me, I used to use it. But the very important thing here is Chyawanprash is not such a simple thing, but it can also be given in other conditions like Swarakshaya, Urorogam, Hridrogam, Vatasonitam, Vipasam, Mutra Sukrastam, Doshascha, Apakarshati. So, Balanam Angavardhanam, Kshinarchatanam Vruddhanam. So many attributes, causes Svasa Haraischa, Viseshet Upadishyate. So, you know that Chyawanprash is effective, but if you prescribe in your prescription, patients say that it is known to me. So there are certain problems in us that OTC products, while prescribing your OTC products, we have certain inhibition, but quality of Chyawanprash cannot be questioned. So because we need to take these attributes, indications, as they are Vyadhihara, at the same time Rasayana in nature. So Pippali Rasayanam is also very, very important, because I told you Agni is a very important factor, because Agni is not proper, the ama is taking place. Ama is the root cause of several diseases. So that is the reason why Pippali Rasayana is very important. While saying the Pippali Rasayana, Pippali Vardhamanam va Kalpadrashtam Prayojayet Jataranam Vinashaya Nasti Tena Samam Bhuvi. So if you use it in Vardhamana Pippali Kalpam, Agni Vardhaka conditions, the best one is the Pippali Rasayana. So whenever you come across a patient with Agni related problems, you can use, but try to remember that it should not be used for longer period, because it is one of the 3 prohibited drugs for long use. And then Medhya Rasayanas are also said. That is also known to you. But very important thing which I want to quote here, because I worked upon that, is Sankapushpi. While narrating this Sankapushpi, it is said, Samula Pushpya Kalkaha Prayojyaha Kalu Sankapushpya. Why? What is the need for saying Mula and Pushpa? Panchanga you can say. But the very important thing is its major attributes, medicinal values are predominantly present when it is in flowering season. You remember that. So that is the reason why our acharyas have rightly taken the importance Samula Pushpya. So that means you have to take the Mula and Pushpa, because once it is in the flowering season only you can collect. So it is in the form of Kalka, it has to be used. So it is said as Medhya Viseshena cha Sankapushpa, is considered as the best one among the Medhya Rasayanas. But whenever you remember, whenever you deal with the Medhya Rasayanas, I used to prescribe the Medhya Rasayana for majority of the problems related to the manas, manovikaras like apashmara, unmada, atatva binivesha, chittodvega, chittavasada conditions, negative emotions, even all those conditions, you must add the Medhya Rasayana. Without the Medhya Rasayana, you can get back. So you can get back the condition to normalcy. That is very, very important. You try to remember any one of these 4 are given, any one can be used, or in combination also you can use. So another important thing is Shilajit. Shilajit is also very, very important Rasayana, because as you know well, Jew importance is given by Susra Samhita, Jew importance is also given by Charaka Samhita. All the major classics says that Shilajit is a remarkable thing. So while saying that, so asti rogo bhuvi sadhya rupa silahvayam yam na jayet prasahya. That means there is no such disease which is incurable by the Shilajit. Tat kala yogair vidibhi prayuktam swastasya chodja vipulam dadhati. So even for the swasta it is good. Even this is given as the best rasayana for So without the Shilajatu, you should not maintain a Madhumeha patient management. So you have to add the Shilajit as one of the rasayana for Madhumeha. You can find the difference of quality of life, and sensitivity is increased, and stability or swings of the of sugar levels will be maintained. So it's very static. You can observe that. So that is the reason why Shilajit is a decomposed humus. It contains several things: hypoglycemic and free radical scavenging effect, that is antioxidant effect is very identified. Fulvic increases the superoxide dismutase activity. This is a innate antioxidant. So Shilajit is the one of the important rasayanas which we have to give for the Madhumeha patient. And even the conditions of Lekhana, whenever we need the Lekhana, Sruta Avarodha is there, like coronary artery disease, vascular problems, deep vein thrombosis, and the conditions of peripheral vascular disorders, so microangiopathy, macroangiopathy of the diabetes. So in all those conditions, Shilajit is a remarkable medicine. You try to remember that. Without the prescription of the Shilajit, you cannot forego the complications of diabetes in diabetic patients. So that's very, very important. Try to remember. Another important is Chandraprabha Vatika, which contains the Shilajit. So Shilajit is the best Lekhana Dravya. You remember that. Even the conditions of CP, chronic kidney disorder, CKD conditions, where the renal failure is there, we come across thousands of patients having less than 5 mg of serum creatinine. We can maintain for 10 to 12 years also with the management of Chandraprabha Vatika. Many people are afraid that it contains metals, but it is a very, very safe drug. But you remember that Chandraprabha Vatika manufactured by everybody is not similar. So you have to take care of that, because this is only unfortunate thing in Ayurveda, but name is known, but the efficacy may be variable by combination of by various companies. So another thing, Amruta Bhallataki, in my clinical practice, I used to use in a number of diseases, Amruta Bhallataki Lehyam. So you can even never imagine that it is a very, very remarkable rasayana, but you have to remember that this is a very, very important. Gudottan, Akhilan Vikaran. The anorectal conditions, you can go for Sunilan, Grutakunchitan. So here, Suparna Drushti, Sukumaratamcha. So in the conditions of retinitis pigmentosa, further deterioration can be. And in the conditions of diabetic retinopathy, this is the very ideal way. And very important thing is Prayoga Kale, Rajahyam Sarva Rasayana Nam. It is the king of rasayanas. I Trikarana Suddhi, with my thought, word and deed, I accept that this is the excellent rasayana you have to use with the Anupana Bheda. So it's a very important thing. Grutasya Prastam Ishyate Kshiram Grutasya. So you have to take with the Gruta and Kshira, Anupana. So that is the best way to minimize the effects, local effects of Amruta Bhallataki. So here also very important, which I am lightly touching, the quality of manufacturing of the Amruta Bhallataki is very important. So you cannot prescribe the every manufacturer's Amruta Bhallataki Lehyam. So because it will not have the similar purification methodology adopted, you can outstandingly identify the differences. So here I found that it is very best in autoimmune diseases. Majority of the autoimmune diseases, whatever you say, that in all the autoimmune diseases, this is the anchor for my prescription. So without Amruta Bhallataki, I never prescribe any medicine for the autoimmune diseases. Patient compliance is very good. Acceptability is good. Patent therapeutic effect and safe for longer use. I used to use even for years together, because this is the best Vrishya and best Rasayana. It is indicated in Vajikarana Yoga. So effective and stopping the progression of autoimmune disease. The best disease modifying agent, no doubt at all. Immunomodulator effect is proved in clinical practice. I, with lot of experience with this Amruta Bhallataki, because we sent a proposal from the Manipal University to Government of India, that is the Department of Ojus, for Amruta Bhallataki in cell lines activity, and especially in autoimmune phenomena and cancer phenomena. So this is actually, these are the multiple ingredients of the Bhallataki, but I want to share here because it contains Kumkumapu, So very important, Crocus sativus. The difference between the various companies' medicines is only this kunkuma. So because certain companies, they add in the same proportion, other companies, they won't do it. Because if you reduce it, then it will be very economy for them, very fetching for them. So that is the reason why the quality should not be compromised. Because once you have a sharp instrument, you can fight against the war. So if you do not have sharp blunt instrument is there, you cannot fight. Similarly, Dravyam is a very important. Aushadha is a very, quality Aushadha is very important to fight against the disease process. So what are the conditions where I give the Amrut Ballatiki Lehyam? So this is a revelations, Amavata. So without Amrut Ballatiki, there is no prescription from my side. Amavata, the first line of treatment is Amrut Ballatiki. And myasthenia gravis, whether it is ocular and general, so this is very important because it is the condition where there is no permanent treatment is available from modern system. Some of the procedures of Panchakarma also not completely going to give the recovery. Ankylosing spondylosis. The progression of the ankylosis can be minimized by ankylosing spondylosis conditions where HLA-B27 is positive. And a systemic lupus erythematosus, very important, whether it is lupus nephrosis, dermatological lupus, or the lupus related to the joints, whatever that may be. Nephrotic syndrome, I come across several cases of nephrotic syndrome of variant etiology. So by Amrut Ballatiki only, it is completely reversed. Many people are afraid that it contains metals, but no need to be afraid. Nephrotic syndrome is very ideal. You can see the albumin, massive albuminuria is minimized to the 0. So autoimmune hemolytic anemia conditions and idiopathic thrombocytopenia, where the platelet count is falling very frequently, where they go for the steroids. But instead of going for steroids, ITP conditions, the best is the Amrut Ballatiki. Primary and secondary prophylaxis of cancer. I have seen several cases where the progression of the cancer is minimized, even it is in primary and secondary prophylaxis. Already the patient has taken the chemotherapy and radiation, or in such conditions, if the metastatic conditions are there, so the best is the cancer. They ask how many days you have to use. They have to use throughout their life. So that is what actually motor neuron disorders, MNDs, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, or any other motor neuron diseases, which is a degenerative condition. Here Amrut Ballatiki is best. Vitiligo, the progression of the vitiligo can be minimized by Amrut Ballatiki. And lichen planus is another important. And lichen planus pigmentosus is also another condition where the Amrut Ballatiki is the best line of treatment. Alopecia totalis. So I have seen one girl with complete totalis treatment. That means complete loss of hair. Alopecia universalis also there, that eyebrows and eyelashes are also lost. But only by Amrut Ballatiki Lehyam we can got back. And primary infertility in males, whatever that may be the reason, and primary amenorrhea, especially the people who do not attain the menarche. So those conditions also, Amrut Ballatiki you can safely give. Eranda Thaila, without the Eranda Thaila, my prescription is not completed in Amavata cases. Eranda Thaila, I give them. Even poor patients come, I ask them to take 5 ml morning and 5 ml evening regularly. So that is going to suffice the, so that's a very important thing. Certain things, even if you use for longer period, they are not going to cause any harm. So Rasayana and cancer. So the very important thing, you know, cancer is nothing but a perverted cell. So perverted cell has gone for perversion, and this type of perversion is taking place from the day one of our life. You remember, this may be surprised to note that every day we are getting around 10 to 12 cancerous cells in our body in 75 trillions of cells. But our immune system is intact and immediately going to identify that perverted cell and sacrifice that. But if this immunosurveillance is defective, then it forms the outfits and colonization takes place and the cancer development will be taking place. As long as you take the Rasayana every day, the cancer prophylaxis can be experienced. That means I used to get the patients with the family history, mother and father got the cancer, and the children used to come for primary prophylaxis. So in that condition, the best is advising on Rasayana for them. And secondary prophylaxis after going for the chemotherapy, radiation, and there is a resolution by the PET scan, but again, they are afraid of getting back after some time. So in that secondary prophylaxis also, the best is the Amrudaballatiki Rasayana. So Rasayana in cancer is a very, very important area. Without the Rasayana, you can never manage the cancer management. So try to remember that. So this is a very important thing. And you know this helps Mandukapanni, Brahmi, Amalaki, Ashwagandha. So whenever you come across any cases like apasmara, unmada, atatvabhinivesha, chittodvega, chitta vikaras, so try to remember that any of the Medhya drug has to be given. So without the Medhya drug, you can never manage the things. So Bhalataki, Haridra, Hamalaki, and Noni is also nowadays popular, but I discourage the people used to use it. So if you see certain things, Triphala, Sarva Rasayananam, he says, in the conditions where this can be used. Saptavimsati Gugulu, where we use in a specific condition, but Rasayananam Uttamam, it is said. Lohavasma, we give in the Pandu in other conditions, even the conditions of Staulya, but Rasayananam Varam. Lakshmi Narayan Rasa, this is a very important drug for the apasmara conditions. Rasayananam Uttamam. And Shalmali Gritam, Hanti Dhatu Kshayam. So this also Kaishora Gugulu we use in Vatarakta and the conditions of even Amavata also. Nityam Upayukta Rasayananam. So you can use for longer period. These are safe drugs. Bahushala Guda is very important for the Arshas. Rasayanam Varashaiva. So this is best considered Rasayana for the Arsha Vikara, because patient used to say how many days I have to use. Even if you use for 3 months, the condition of the Arshas is going to be resolved. But even if they continue for longer period, that is going to save them, because Rasayanana Varashaiva. Udayaditya Rasa is also Jaraharaha, what it is said in Vagbhata. Chaturmukha Rasa we use in the conditions of the Jara, but Rasayananam Varam. Bruhat Vangeshwar Rasa or Vangeshwar Rasa, which is used in Prameha and Madhumeha, Rasayanam Varasresto. Because once you see that there are metals, people are afraid of using the Rasayana for longer period. But that is true, but the quality of the Rasaushtas are very, very important. You must assure yourself that the prescribed Rasaushtas are very important for administering the, and they maintain the quality. Rajata Basma, Vayastapanam Uttamam, Sthiram Vayaskaram. So Rajata Basma is used in different conditions, but at the same time, it is also a Rasayana. And these are all Kushmandavalesham and Purna Chandrodairas, Mahadrakshadi Churnam. But of course, these are all Rasayanas, because several drugs which are used for the disease conditions, they are also Rasayanas. So this is what I want to say here. Atilavanam asatnyam purushas tesham api kalityam palityam valayasya kale. So excessive intake of salt is also not advised in Ayurveda. So you have to remember. So now I will say certain Naimitika Rasayanas. Very important is Yakuti Ras. Yakuti Ras is widely used because herbo-mineral compounds are very safe. You remember, if you appraise that their quality of manufacturing is good. So this Yakuti Ras is widely used in Manovikaras and Hrudaya Vikaras, especially the conditions where ejection fraction is less than 50%. Usually it is supposed to be 65%. Less than 50% left ventricular dysfunction is there. Pumping is reduced in certain conditions where it may be post-MI or conditions where cardiomyopathies are there. So in that condition, you try to give the Yakuti Ras for 10 days. So whenever we give the Rasaushadhas, this is in 100 mg form, make it into powder and then add either ghee or madhu, make it into paste, and it has to be taken on empty stomach for 10 days. And then you leave it for 20 days. Again, in the next month, you can go for another 10 days. So there are people who used to use the Yakuti Rasa for even months together, but 10 days with 20 days of gap. So they are not going to, but gradually their ejection fraction is improved. Recorded evidences are there for the Yakuti Ras. So try to remember that, okay? Yakuti Ras is very important. And I told you Yapanavasti, Sayusho Yapanam, Dirgha Kalanuvartanam, Kurvantiti Yapanavastaya. So Yapanavastis and Niruhavastis, that is Astapanavastis, both are having the link directly to the Srotosodhana. By inducing the Srotosodhana and Lekana effects, they are going to give the Rasayana effects in the body. So Vastis, n number of Vastis are there. As the time constraint is there, I have to minimize that. So that is the reason why I'm not saying n number of Vastis are there, where they are, whenever you use the Niruhavasti, specific Niruhavasti or Yapanavastis, remember that you are adding the Rasayana to the body. So that is what, but it has to be carefully taken care, because Rukshatva should not be infused, because all the Lekhana Dravyas, Rukshata is one of the factors which are going to cause adverse effects. So you have to monitor the Rukshatva in the body and then manage it. So Mandukaparni is also very important. Lot of research works are also done on the Mandu Centella asiatica. You can see here, this is a very important drug. And Ashwagandha, recently also Indian Institute of Technology, Delhi, is working upon that Ashwagandha. So Ashwagandha within so the specific phytochemicals in the Withania somnifera is having inhibition in entering of the COVID virus into the human body, host cells. So this is very important. The work is going on. So they identify that Ashwagandha is having the better results, and it is processing, and it's a collaborative work with the Japan company. So both are working together. Ashwagandha is the best rasayana for Krusha. This is said. Balasya sasyasya yadha ambhu vrustihi. So if you irrigate the field, how the harvest comes, similarly if you give the Ashwagandha who are Krusha, and he will get the normal plumpness. Ashwagandha is a very, very important drug. We always think that the Ashwagandha must be one of the prescriptions in your Krusha patients. So Ashwagandha anti-stress activity is also identified. Plasma Ashwagandha affects a normal control, very good. Stress swimming, if you see here, swimming stress is one of the stresses induced to the animal, rat model. So you can see when it is given the Ashwagandha, klesha sahasya. So that means it can face the stressful situations. This is 107 and this is 99. So whereas in normal levels, it is almost equal to the control and Ashwagandha. Similarly, phagocytic index is also markedly reduced. So very important, immunosurveillance is also intactly maintained by the Ashwagandha, because stress is directly linked to. And another important thing is Jyotishmati. Jyotishmati, without Jyotishmati, you can never give a prescription to the Apasmara patient. Apasmara patient, you need to give the Malkangani seed oil, that is Jyotishmati Thailam, at least 8 bindus with milk every day as a rasayana. So this is a very, very important thing you try to remember, and this is my experience for last 33 years. I've been using it. Brahmi, lot of studies are conducted on Brahmi, Bacopa monnieri, bacosides, and work is going on, and work is also submitted by the ICMR. The very important nootropic activity is identified, and stress adaptation is also improved by using the Brahmi. So if you see the conditions of Pratishaya, the patient usually comes with allergic conditions of rhinitis, running nose, sneezing, nasal blockade. So if your prescription must have the Chitragharitaki Lehyam or Vyagri Haritaki Lehyam. Without that, any one of that, without that, you can never get the results, the sustained results. That is what I want to say. Sustained results means it will not, by using certain medicines, you will get relief, but once it is withdrawn, again gets back. But if you use the Rasayana, that will not be there. And Kasaswasa, Agastya Haritaki said in Charaka Chikitsa Sthana itself, and Chaunaprasava Lehyam is also said, Vasa Kantakari Lehyam also very important. So Agastya Rasayanam, Chitraka Haritaki Lehyam, these are all available. So without them, you can never, if you do not prescribe that for your patient, you are deprived of that. Haritakyadi Rasayanam, Vyagri Haritaki, Vasa Kantakari. Vasa Kantakari Lehyam is a very, very important drug for the dry cough. So whenever you come across the Sushka Kasa, Vataja Kasa, Vasa Kantakari is going to give the relief within 1 day. So that is confidently you can give the prescription and get the results. And there is an apprehension by Ayurvedic physicians about the use of rasaushadhas. But I'm very fortunate that the Western people are, other than Indians, are not using the metals because they are afraid of that. I'm very fortunate that that must be maintained, because so that that can be useful for at least Indians. So if like herbs, if they are, these are also used, means everything is being exported to the Western countries. Our drugs will become very expensive. So Vasant Kusmakar Ras is a rasayana, especially in Madhumeha. Whether it is in the conditions of type 1 diabetes and type 2 diabetes. Don't afraid of type 1 diabetes, where we need to have the quality of life for the type 1 diabetes. And insulin sensitivity is also very important for type 1 diabetes, because go on taking the insulin, the dose will be increased. But once you give the Vasant Kusmakar Ras 10 days, every day once in the morning, either with ghee or honey, and it has to be made into powder, and then add a little quantity of the madhu or honey, madhu or ghee, and then it has to be taken in the morning, half an hour this way, that way. Should not be taken anything, because many people think that it is very easy to prescribe and let them swallow the tablet. Swallowing the tablet will not work, especially in the Rasaushadhas. You have to give it with Anupana only. So this is very, very important. So if you give the Vasant Kusmakar 10 days, at least once in 3 months, I used to prescribe them because it is an eternal disease. Once in 3 months, if they use 10 days of Vasant Kusmakar Ras, the best quality, and then they will get quality of life, which is maintained for another 3 months, and minimizing the complications of the microangiopathy or macroangiopathy reflected in diabetic retinopathy, cardiopathy, gastropathy, or cystopathy, whatever that may be. The complications can be minimized. You try to remember. Mahalakshmi Vilas Ras, because even it is used for my children also. So you may ask, even for 1 month baby, 2 months baby also, Mahalakshmi Vilas Ras is used by me. There is no problem at all. It contains 100 mg tablet. You make it into 1/4, that is 25 mg, and this 25 mg has to be made into powder, and then add the honey or ghee, and then has to be applied to the child. So it will come for 40 days. 10 tablets will come for 40 days. You can find the difference, because children, some type of children used to face that they are frequently getting the upper respiratory tract infections, frequently going for the pediatrician for undergoing the antibiotic therapy and other things. That can be minimized by using the Mahalakshmi Vilas Ras. So Mahalakshmi Vilas Ras, so many attributes are there. Here, this is where you can give. It is an aphrodisiac, and it is good for the prevention of the Kasa, Swasa, and Pratishaya, and it is good for the Shukrakshaya, and it is good for the general growth of the child. And all these things are. So another is Siddhamakarad. Siddhamakarad is also many people used to afraid to use it, but very important is process is very important. And once you use it, and you have to use like this, once a day dose on empty stomach for 10 days. Don't use for longer period, because many people over enthusiastically they use for even 1 month or 2 months continuously. That is not ideal. 10 days they can use, and another 20 days they can keep a gap. And so another important Naimitika Rasayana is Saraswatarishta. Saraswatarishta is a very, very important thing. So it contains gold, Swarna Patras, as one of the ingredients. You remember that you come across the children of ADHD, autistic spectrum disorders, like autism, that is very important, hyperactive, attention deficit hyperactive disorders, and the conditions where the patient is with the only hyperactivity. So in all those conditions, Saraswatarishta is considered as Rasayana. You give it for longer period, nothing is going to happen. I used to prescribe this Saraswatarishta even for longer months, even together, 1 year, 2 years also, for autistic spectrum disorders. Once you give it to the child, and you can find the difference within 1 month to 3 months. The lot of hyperactivity is minimized, and focal concentration is and responsive to the verbal commands are restored. You try and do, and you can find the difference, whatever that is said. Amalaki Rasayan. Then coming to the last part of this, very important is Amalaki Rasayana. Grutena Madhuna Lidva Pibet Shira Palam Naram. So Amalaki Rasayan, actually I want to say here, Amalaki is a very important because around 83 to 87 references are there that it has Vayastapana quality, that biological aging can be slowed down by regular use of Amalaki. And this was a study because I was one of the monitoring committee members, is Professor Padma Vibhushan awardee MS Valiathanji, and Gopinathanji is Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, cell biology, molecular biology head. So this was work by Science and Technology project. We worked for that for about 3 to 4 years. These are the people who are worked. The Satyamurthy is a very famous scientist, baseline scientist, and she is also from Banaras University. And Madam is a grade 1 scientist from the Science and Technology. So they are all, these two are our Ayurvedic colleagues from the SDM Udupi. So here it was done on 3 aspects, that is Amalaki Rasayana worked upon the Drosophila melanogaster model, and rat model and human model. So all around 12 publications are there, you can browse it. I want to say that all the rasayanas are tadrusham tadrasayanam. So they have the Vrusha effect and Rasayana effect, both are there. So that is the reason why, so usually biological aging can be slowed down, that means by genomic stability. Suppose if whether it is a free radical or an injury from inflammation or a microbial invasion, if immediately the cell can able to normalize its genomes, that is DNA, then that shows the genomic stability. This was the criteria to say that Amalaki Rasayana has biological aging slowing processes there or not. This is so you can see here the control comet like things. That means comet means the DNA damage is there, but this DNA damage in Amalaki fed Rasayana is very less. So astrocytes, neurons. So you can see here there is a minimization, that means comet assay. This is called as comet assay. The comet like is their genomic instability is there, genome is damaged. The genomic stability is there, you can see here the spot like substances. So that is by Amalaki fed even Drosophila model or rat model, they have genomic stability. That means they repair the genes very fastly. So that is what very important thing. So biological effects of Amalaki Rasayana, in addition to the genomic stability, we have other qualities are also very important. So I'll say, because the time is constrained, I have to finish it. In melanogaster, Drosophila melanogaster model, you can see here, very important thing, pupation and eclosion. That means from pupa to the adult worm development. So you can see here the Amalaki Rasayana model, it is taking short time. So it is fastly growing into the pupation, eclosion, this is called as pupa to the adult insect form. So here also you can see the median pupation rate is also reduced. That means fast development is there in their development from the pupa to, and you can also see the salivary gland of the Amalaki fed rat model, where it is more increased. That means growth is also ensured by this tadrusham tadrasayan. And another is fecundity, that is its larvae fecundity, that is what we call as, that means laying of the eggs, and that is also markedly increased when Amalaki fed rats are Amalaki fed even Drosophila model. So if you see here, this is to say Drosophila melanogaster, the normal lifespan is 36 days. By Amalaki Rasayana fed, it is 40.4 days. That means around 4 days for 36 days of life is extended, means for human being of 100 years, it will be extending around 12 years of life. You can calculate projecting the melanogaster model. So this is what actually I want to conclude here. The things last, if the organizers give 3 more minutes, I can conclude it. Madhusudhan, can I continue
yes,
for? Yeah.
Yes,
Yes, this is last few slides, only 3-4 slides are there. So I want to focus here because many learned personalities are there listening to me. I come across a book called Blue Zones. This Blue Zones is written by Dan Butner. You can also go through that. There are blue zones in the world, that is Sardinia, Italy, Okinawa, Japan, Loma Linda, California, Nicoya Peninsula, Costa Rica, Icaria, Greece. Why these are called blue zones means here densely populated centenarians are there. More than 100 years people are localized in these areas. They are called blue zones. You can see here in the map, world map. They are distributed because they are not even a particular area or particular continent. They are distributed in all continents also. So why they are living for 100 years? That's a very important thing. So Dan Butner actually, he went to that, he studied for about 10 years and he identified that calorie restriction and fasting, mitahara, what Ayurveda says, this is a very important and a crucial lifestyle identified in them. And strong family connections, relations are well maintained by these people. And you can also see having a meaningful life purpose. That means from morning to evening, they are productive in their activity. So they do some activity for the contribution of their family for the society. That's very important. Low level physical activity throughout the day. They do not do the excessive vyayama or even insufficient vyayama. Moderation is done from morning to evening. Continuously they do some activity, but it is not vigorous, it is not even sedentary. And staying stress-free life, this is very important. So many things are there in Achara Rasayana. Achara Rasayana says the very important thing is you have to completely understand the situation and then enter into the activity. So that is staying stress-free life. Consume high amounts of vegetables, especially legumes like peanuts and other things. Close social engagements are involved. And moderate alcohol consumption is also there. That is, they use wine and believe in higher power. That is, Achar Rasayana also say the astikas, that means you have to believe in the Vedas, you have to believe in the God and the people who are learned. So these are the lessons which the blue zones gives to the total world. That means they're all the hidden things which are there, every aspect of dinacharya, rutucharya and achara rasana, sadhrutta. These are all there in the very important descriptions of Charaka Samhita. But sometimes we jump, we do not give much importance to them, and we want to focusly go for the Chikitsa Sutra and then try to practice the Chikitsa as it is. But that is not the thing. Without the Rasayana, your practice will not be suffice. If you want to get n number of patients, you have to add the Rasayana for your management. If you want to get the same patient to come for several times, you need not prescribe the Rasayana. This is what I want to say. So if you want to get number of patients, because one patient is cured, then definitely hundreds of patients will come to you. So that is what actually. So without the Naimittika Rasayana, we can never manage a disease condition completely cured. So Rasayana has to be incorporated as a part of your prescription in n number of conditions. You think about a Rasayana, if you do not find Rasayana, you just give the Haritaki or Amalaki or Triphala Churna. So even that is also very effective. So with this, let me take this opportunity to thank the organizers for giving me this 60 minutes of time to share my views before you. And because of the 60 minutes, Naimittika Rasayana is the very vast one. And I could only give the saline features before you so that I can just impress you that the Naimittika Rasayana is a very, very important part in our prescription. Without that, we can never get the sustained results. That is very important. So thank you one and all for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you very much, sir, for enlightening us on the topic role of Naimittika Rasayana in clinical practice. Thank you very much for giving your time, sharing a valuable knowledge and those valuable research works with us. So we have got few questions.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. The first question is, in this COVID-19 pandemic, how we can administer Naimittika Rasayana judiciously in COVID-19 positive case and as a preventive measure?
Yeah. So actually, because this is a general view which I explained, while dealing with the COVID also, the very COVID, as I told you, so a virus, after all, having 13 genes to 16 genes, dictating the terms to 36,000 genes of human body. Okay, then it once it enters inside, then it accommodates itself in the host cell, and the sequential developments are taking place. If you see the incidence also, around 97% of the population having excellent innate immunity, and they are maintained well, and they are having little symptoms or mild symptoms. That is nothing but vyadhi bala virodhitvam, which is there in them. And vyadhi utpadak pratibandhakatvam, there are also people who do not get even symptoms at all. That is also actually what we say as a vyadhi utpadaka pratibandhakatvam. There is a virus present in RT-PCR, it is identified. But now coming to how to manage that. So you take the rasayanas, very important, which I advise. If for thousands of patients, what we advise here is whether they have to take either Agastya Rasayanam or Chitrakaharitaki Lehyam. Otherwise, if it is not possible, then let them take the Guduchi Kashayam or Ashwagandha regularly with the Kshirapaka has to be done, or Esti Madhu. That is what already suggested to the Ministry of Ayush, and Ministry of Ayush also has taken up that activity very vigorously, because they have even the specific. So very important thing which I told you even while dealing with that is cytokine storm. Cytokines are nothing but regulators of the movements of the lymphocytes or other inflammatory cells or immunological cells. So if there is a cytokine storm, suddenly there are certain chemicals released by our own immune system in response to the COVID virus, and these are going to damage the especially the lungs. And that is the reason why this perverted immune system, still that is maintaining an integrity with innate immunity, suddenly outbursted. That is also related to the integrity of immune system. So that is the reason why, so regular lifestyle is very important, because sleeping hours have to be maintained, timely food has to be taken, regular moderation of exercise has to be done, stress-free activity has to be there, and in addition to that, you have to take care of the comorbidities, and regular use of the rasayana is also very essential. So without this comprehensive approach, you cannot simply dictate one and you take this and you will be free. That is not possible, because our approach is trifold. Their lifestyle has to be corrected, diet has to be corrected, and drug also has to be given. Aushadam, Aharam, Viharam. All this trifold approach is a very valid approach for management of any disease, even the COVID.
Thank you, sir. Our next question is, how long can any rasayana be taken?
How?
How long any rasayana can be taken, sir?
Yeah. Usually, we have certain apprehensions about the herbal and herbo-mineral rasayanas. Purve vais madhyeva manushasya rasayanam. That is what he said. You have to start from the very early stages of your life. You cannot start the rasayana at the 60th year for getting the minimization of the biological aging. That is not possible. So very beginning, very early age or middle age is the ideal way. So how long we have to? Regularly you have to take the rasayana. There is no other way, because I used to take rasayana every day for the last some years, maybe even some decades. Regular use of the rasayana is the very best way, and regular use is going to maintain the integrity of your system. And another is you may have apprehensions using the herbo-mineral compounds or metallics. So metallics you have to use legitimately, as I told you, once in 3 months, 10 days of treatment, or 10 days leaving 20 days stopping for the medicine. So for this bio clearance will be taking place for another 20 days. By using 10 days, the effects will be seen. So certain drugs you can use even for longer periods. Suppose if you restore the Agni, then you need not go for Agni Vardhakas. And again, if you restore the Lekhana effect, the Rutshaguna is increased, then you have to stop the Lekhana drug. So similarly, you have to maintain the things with Ahara, Aushada, and Vihara. So a monotonous activity is not advised, especially in the Rasayana management.
Thank you, sir. Our next question is regarding Amrita Phallata Kaleha, sir.
Yeah.
How to administer Amrita Phallata Kaleha in cancer patients, sir?
Yeah.
Dose, time, duration.
Yeah. I come across the cases of cancer, primary and secondary prophylaxis. Especially, I want to say about secondary prophylaxis. I have an experience of 28 to 30 years because there were people having adenocarcinoma of the breast exposed to the chemotherapy and radiation, and with a minor secondaries at the axillary region that was also radiated. But the patients, when we start prescribing the rasayana, then that has to be continued. Actually, when I prescribed the first patient of me, so in 1992, recently I had been to that village. She survived. She came to me that showing the Amrit Ballatiki, I have been regularly using this for the last 25. So are you still survived? This was my exclamation because that was prognosticated for 5 years. So now she's being survived even now. So such impact is there for the Amrit Ballatiki. I come across several different conditions, and Amrit Ballatiki, 1 spoon morning, either followed by milk or hot water or honey or ghee also. Anything can be taken. 1 spoon ghee has to be taken, followed by the Amrit Ballatiki, then followed by milk. This is the very ideal way. But remember, Amrita Ballatiki manufacturing is very important. There are companies, they manufacture Amrit Ballatiki without the proper ingredients. Even Kumkum Pavu is not there in that. That is ineffective. So like that, we have to select a quality Amrit Ballatiki and use for even throughout their life. Nothing, because Raja, it is king of rasayanas. No doubt at all, it is not going to cause any side effects because I experience in my day-to-day practice.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the question answer session also. Let me now extend my earnest gratitude to Dr. Murali Krishna on behalf of JSS Ayurveda Medical College for the very informative and wonderful session. Thank you, sir. Thank you, all the delegates.
Thank you very much. Thank you, one and all. Guru Basavaraj ji, thank you. And Byadgi ji, how are you? Yes, good. Nice to see you here.
Nice to see you. मैंने बहुत अच्छा लगा आपको सुबह से सुना.
Okay. Yes.
देख अच्छा लग रहा. बीच ये क्या है आपका? नदी का भी वो दिख रहा, धारा दिख रहा है.
ये तो विचुअल है. अभी तो विचुअल.
अच्छा, it appears like a natural one.
Yes. Thank you very much. Yes.
Thank you. Namaskar.
Okay.
Moving on to the next session, I wholeheartedly welcome our eminent speaker, Dr. Parameshwarappa S. Byadgi, Associate Professor, Department of Vikriti Vijnana, Faculty of Ayurveda, IMS, Banaras Hindu University, Varanasi. Sir will be dealing with the topic, Research Updates and Evidence-Based Practice in Vyadhikshamatva. Sir has completed his graduation from Karnataka University and post-graduation in the specialty Roga Vijnana and Vikriti Vijnana from Calcutta University. Also awarded with a PhD degree in Kaya Chikitsa from the Banaras Hindu University, Varanasi. Sir has published 132 papers in various national and international journals, presented various papers, guest lectures, and served as resource person in numerous seminars and conferences. Sir has published 11 books, including Ayurvediya Vikriti Vijnana and Roga Vijnana, which is a useful addition to the understanding of Ayurvedic diagnostics. Apart from this, Sir has also contributed 30 chapters in various books, has guided over 20 research works, and has 14 awards to his credit. Being one of the renowned diagnostician and academician with an experience of over 18 years, we are extremely privileged, sir, to have you here for Ojus 2020. Now I kindly request, sir, to take over the session.
Thank you for your nice introduction about myself, and I'm very happy that JSS Ayurvedic Medical College has organized international webinar on immunity and its understanding. Since last 4 days, I think this program is going on. So I am constantly hearing the lectures of different experts. So I am very much thankful to you all, the organizers, for inviting me to deliver my talk on the recent updates on immunity and evidence-based practice in Vedic Samatva. So I will directly go to my slide sharing. My PPT is visible now.
Yes, sir, it is visible, sir.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to discuss on the recent updates and evidence-based practice in Vedic Samatva. So I will not take much time for the description of the Ayurvedic concepts, because most of the scholars since last 4 days are discussed about that what is exactly Vedic Samatva and what is meant by Vadi Saha, because the Vedic Samatva and Vadi, the word Vadi Saha, so it means that the Vadi Saha word is not being used by many of the people, because it has been clearly mentioned in Saraka Samhita. So Vadi Saha means one who is capable of resisting the diseases. That those people are called as Vadi Saha people, and this can be achieved by adopting the so many measures. Like previously, speaker was talking about the Rasayana therapy is one among them. Along with that, there will be a Rasayana therapy and Vajikarna therapy, Dinacharya, Ritucharya, and all those things. So I will not go into details of it. So, but depending on the nature of the wholesome and unwholesome food conditions, so the development of a diseases takes place inside the body. So then that there is an alterations in the dosa as well as dhatus, resulting into the imbalanced state of these two, causing the development of the diseases inside the body. And the person who is not capable of resisting against the diseases will suffer from either the mild diseases or severe diseases or acute diseases or chronic diseases, depending on the nature of the causative agent, as well as the nature of the immunity of the individual. So then, to whom we call it as the immune people are Vedic Shamatva. So everybody was talking since last 4 days. So like Vedic Shamatvam Nama Vadibala Virodhitam Vadit Vadik Pratibandhakatvam Itiyavat. So I will not go into the details of it, but I will discuss the three important things, which is very, very important in context to the immunity. That is, any unwholesome food substances is not equally powerful in causing the diseases. This is nahi sarva nepatani tulya doshani. Doshas, all doshas are not equally powerful. So, sarva doshaha tulya balaha. All doshas are not equally strong enough to produce the diseases. And the third one is the nacha sarvani sarirani vedic samartve samartani bhavanti. That is, the variations in the physique and mind play a very important role in resisting the diseases. These are the three important aspects which have been told in the Charaka Samhita. So the meaning of the word, I will not go into it. That everybody was discussed in the previous verses, scholars. So, but I will take some of the time. What are the recent studies in context to the immunity? So that is the theory which has been told in the recent publications which come across, discussing about the importance of the diet in controlling the in manifesting the disease point of view. So that is called as immunonutrition. So this immunonutrition, that's in food versus the immunity, which has been very strongly mentioned in Ayurvedic classical texts, that Ahar, Nidra, Brahmacharya, three important components which play a very important, significant role in the development of the diseases. But at the same time, so there are many immunonutrition. You know that the immunonutrition is an emergent and interdisciplinary subject, so which comprises of the aspects related to the nutrition, immunity, infection, inflammation, and the injury or the tissue damage. These are the very important components which needs to be understood. But along with that, there is an interactions of the endocrine and the nervous and the immune systems are also involved. Along with that, so microbiota being a part of the last component, but the gut microbiota is one of the very important thing which plays an important role not only in the gastrointestinal tract but also into the nervous system because of the bilateral connection, because of its the bilateral connection. So that is why these are the recent updates which indicates about the immunological biomarkers to provide the lot of informations about the nutritional status of the individual. So that can also be studied. So in relation to the food versus immunity, there are immunonutrition. Again, if you know that it is the multidisciplinary matter as mentioned above. The study of these interactions between the nutrition and the immune system has not been exclusively focused as such, but bearing in the mind of the systems of the other organisms, as well as the wide range of the compounding factors and the determinants coming from the idiosyncratic features, genes, and the lifestyle of an individual. So that is where these are the recent updates, which largely focuses on the importance of the immunonutrition in the development of the disease process. I will discuss that when the later part of it when it comes to the understanding of this. Another important thing is food versus immunity. The healthy gut microbiota is very important in relation to the positive attributes of the health. But the dysbiosis, and there is a dysbiosis that gut microbiota alterations will causing the associated with the altered health status. So that is why it is also very important. So because the current understanding of the gut microbiota provides some very good information about the efficiently dealing with the well-being and the disease, especially the obesity. Certain genes are responsible, and the metabolic syndrome, food intolerance, inflammatory bowel disease, and the irritable bowel syndrome. So these are also some of the very important aspects of it. So that needs to be understood when it comes to the food versus immunity. Then another aspect which has been told in Ayurveda in context to that is a person who is called healthy and swastha. Everybody knows that samadosha samagnisya samadhatu malakriyaha. So in here it has been focusing on the importance of the homeostasis of these parameters. Who are the parameters? Dosas, dhatus, agnis, malas. Along with that, very important is the proper coordination between the soul, sensory organs, and the mind plays a very important role in the immunity. Any disequilibrium or derangement of in any of the one of the component that is resulting into the development of the disease. Even there is a derangement. Some previous speakers I was hearing that mind, the concept of mind was not told, not mentioned in Ayurveda in context to the immunity. No, it has been clearly in that it has been clearly mentioned alpa sattva persons are not capable of resisting against the diseases. It has been clearly told, and it has been mentioned in the Samhita also in the this thing. So next comes about that the doshas versus the immunity. Everybody is knowing that most of the diseases which are arising inside the body is because of the vata, all vata vadis. Vata vadis is the vata alterations, or vata vadis is the root cause for the development of the most of the diseases. That has been told in the Ayurvedic classical text. Along with that, the prakritastu balam slesma, that if there is a proper imbalance, the proper balanced state of the kapha is very important in maintaining the immune status of an individual. Along with that, there is a kapha, the pitta is very important. Sushruta has not mentioned the other pitta and agni. He says one and the same, and this is very important component. So the So overall, so the equilibrium state of Vata, Pitta, and Kapha is very, very important. That will help for the maintenance of the proper homeostasis of the body tissues and the cells functions. If there is any alterations in these, will leads to the development of the diseases inside the body. Why I am saying this doshas are very important role in developing the disease is because if the doshas perform the functions, it will eliminate the waste products. Maybe in the form of ama, maybe in the form of the pitta. That everything has to be eliminated out from the body from time to time. Then only the person will be in a state of healthy state. So that is why it's very, very important to understand that also. So that has been, again, everything is all dependent on the digestion of the food, absorption of the food, coordination of the sensory perceptions and the temperament. So all these things will indicate that particular person is considered to be healthy. Then the dhatus are also very, very important role, are considered to be very important in the development of the disease process, because the nourishment is intrinsic to the life and any important role in the fight against the pathogenic or microorganisms. Whenever there is an expression or the function one of these tissues impaired, maybe this particular dhatu is going to be in the ruddhi avastha or in the state of kshaya avastha, or in the immune system disturb. It is either if the dhatus are in the normalcy, but there is during normal dhatus, that we can call it as dhatusta dosha vikaras. Dhatus are normal, but impaired doshas will enter into the dhatus. Again, that is also causing the diseases. So dhatu ruddhi, dhatu kshaya, and dhatusta doshas entering into the dhatus and causing the diseases. So that's why the homeostasis is again all dependent on the these things. So Agni versus immunity, and everybody knows that Agni is very, very important factor for the development, because the Bala, Varna, Oja, Teja, Prana, everything is all dependent on the Agni functions of the normal functions of the Agni. If that is the reason in most of the classical texts, so it has been clearly mentioned that the Kaya Chikitsa, Kaya Antaragni Chikitsa, Kaya Chikitsa. So Antaragni has to be treated properly and it has to be maintained properly for the maintenance of the good health. So if there are alterations in the Agni status, in the form of if it is Vishamagni, Tiksnagni, again Attegni or Bhashmakagni, and the Mandagni, Vishamagni, and Tiksnagni. Again, Tiksnagni, if it is aggravated, again it is called as Attegni or Bhashmakagni. So these are the three conditions which are responsible for the development of the disease. But if it is during the Samagni state, it is not going to produce the disease. So in Ojus versus the immunity, it is also very, very important. In the Ojus concept, it has been told there are three kinds of there are two important classifications of the Ojus. One is the Apara Ojus and the Para Ojus, and another classification is the Jiva Shonita Ojus and Malarupi Ojus. So that is why this Ojus has been considered as an Upadhatu of the Dhatus, as well as it is the Mala of the Dhatu that's called as Malarupi Ojus. So that kind of references are also available in the text of Ayurveda. But when it comes to this, again, there are three kinds of Ojo doshas: Ojo, Visram, Swapat, and Kshaya. So any alterations in the Ojas, it will leads to the development of the diseases. And because this particular Ojas, which can be compared with that, I will come to in the later slides. This Ojas can be compared with that of the interleukins, and the which are circulating inside the body, and that may be responsible for the fight against the infective agents, because the antigen presenting cells are also there that will also get stimulated by the influence of the proper functioning of the Ojas. And even the interferons and the adrenocortical trophic hormones, these are all the hormones which are also very, very important, play a very, very important role in the development of the disease process. But this can again the controlled by the again proper functioning of the Ojus. So that is also needs to be understood. But it is also again in context to the present pandemic status of the COVID-19. So the most of the people were recovering from the disease without needing any hospital treatment, that we can call it as an asymptomatic treatment. Or in other way, there is another concept which is theory which is coming out is known as the herd immunity, that I will discuss that one later. And the older people and the underlying the medical problems are likelihood of developing the comorbid conditions, and they are developing the risk of developing the illnesses, and they're dying because of the severe COVID-19 infection. But then again, what are the immune system and the in relation to the chronic diseases? The recognition of the altered immune system function in many chronic diseases states is the key to maintain the disease under the proper therapeutics involving the medicines, activities, yoga, meditation, japa, niyama, and the havana. These are all the very, very important components. Why I'm saying these things, I will come to that one. And the altered immune activity has also been characterized by inflammation and the development of complications involving the multiple system diseases. So important of the rasayanas, I will not discuss about this much because the previous speaker has been elaborated the importance of rasayanas. But in Ayurveda, it has been mentioned that clearly intake of the Godugda and Gogruta or medicated ghee is very, very useful rasayana. Cow milk with haridra, that's called as golden milk with Tripoli, it's very, very important. And the Purana Gruta in Ayurveda, it has been mentioned that the ghee becomes the 10-year-old is called as Purana Gruta, and if it is more than 10 years, it is called as Purana Gruta, and it is very, very important. So the previous speaker also discussed about the Trifla Kwata and with the Jagari and the Guruchi, Nimba and Datri added with honey. These are some of the discussions were already made by the previous speaker. I will not go into details of this. So I will not go into these things also, but fumigation is also very, very important component. I will also not discuss much about this, but Anjana Karma is also very, very important. But the Sirishadi Anjana, Naktamaladi Anjana, and Sandhavadi Anjana, and the Kavala Gandusa is also very, very important to maintain the proper immune status of the oral cavity. That is also very much essential. That's the reason the Kavala Gandusha and Nasya are included in the Dinacharya. One has to do every day to maintain the healthy status of the oral cavity as well as the Naso Hisarusodwaram. That's why to maintain the normal homeostasis, to maintain the normal functions of the Nasya. Nasya is very, very important of this thing. So this some of the rasayanas previous speakers has told about that. I will not go into the some of the rasayana, Shogandha rasayana, Bringaraj rasayana, and all those things. So I will take some of the discussions related to some of the concepts which are nowadays discussing about the bioactivity and the health benefits and the related molecular mechanisms of curcumin and the current progress, challenges, and the perspectives. It is very, very published in a very important, very good journal that indicates about the importance of the curcumin in the maintenance of the health. So in the America, this particular curcumin is known as the very important component. That's why those people have termed it as the golden milk. And this metabolism of the curcumin is very, very important, critical for its potential biological activities as well as the beneficial effects of the health. So that is the reason there are many papers and many forms of the publications have been made on the curcumin about its efficacies. So you know that this curcumin is contained the curcumin is a very, very important component of the turmeric, and that is called the curcuminide. And this particular these are the three major curcuminoids in the turmeric, and their chemical structures has been given. And this one is the curcumin and bipseudo methoxy curcumin and the D-desmetho curcumin is a curcuminoid, and then these are all the three major curcuminoids in the terminate. And the oxidant property of the antioxidant properties of the this curcumin has also been mentioned. So you know that there is an imbalance between the free radicals and the body's defense system against the oxidative stress can cause various chronic diseases. And then any excessive production of a reactive oxygen species can induce oxidative stress and damage the essential biomolecules, while the antioxidants, including the antioxidant enzymes and the antioxidant compounds, can protect the human body from the free radicals and the reactive oxygen species effects, so attenuating the progress of many chronic diseases. So that is why this curcumin mainly reduces the, very important, so curcumin mainly reduces the oxidative stress by scavenging the free radicals. So that is why this very important function. So another important function which has been told about the anti-inflammatory actions of the this thing. So this anti-inflammatory actions of the curcumin has been clearly mentioned, because the chronic inflammation is again caused by many external as well as intrinsic factors. You all know that, but and it is the key mediator for the many diseases, because this curcumin can not only reduce the oxidative stress, as I mentioned previously, but also protect against the inflammation effectively via modulating the pro-inflammatory cytokines and related signaling pathways, such as the natural para alpha beta and the NF alpha beta and the other factors which are responsible for this. And the next one is about the pro-inflammatory and the anti-inflammatory cytokines. Also, this regulates this particular curcuminoids which are present in this. This will regulate the upregulation of the anti-inflammatory cytokines, is also very important, essential for the reduction of the inflammatory response. So some of the results show that curcumin can inhibit the inflammation and increase the M2-like macrophages and in the white adipose tissues, promoting the production of anti-inflammatory cytokines. So that is why it's very important function has been told to this. So then immune regulating activities are also told about this particular these things. So immune regulating activities are also told in context to the curcumin, because this curcumin is beneficial to the immune system. That is the reason it has been told to be consumed as a rasayana in Ayurvedic classical texts, but it interacts with the immune cells to protect against the immune-related diseases by modulating the various immune cells, such as the T lymphocyte subsets, macrophages, and the dendritic cells and the natural killer cells, and improving the aberrant alterations of the immunological parameters. So that is why it is also having the very important functions. So the another aspect of the curcumin, which has been told in a nutshell, so we can conclude and we can discuss about the importance of this particular curcumin in context to the pro-inflammatory and the anti-inflammatory cytokines signaling pathways. And this because the curcumin itself is having the anti-inflammatory activity, immune regulation is also there, anti-diabetic effect is also proved by many of the studies, and it has also proved that this particular curcumin is having a cardiovascular protection activities, because it acts on the cardiomyocytes, cardiac hypertrophy in case of the chronic heart failure, cholesterol absorption, and dyslipidemia conditions. Curcumin acts wonderfully. It has also considered as an hepatoprotection. Liver injuries are also induced by the pollutants, drugs and alcohol, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, and liver fibrosis. In all those things, it acts as an hepatoprotection, and it is also neuroprotection. So it brings down the inflammation and the neurodegenerative diseases and the anti-cancerous effect. It has also proved by many of the studies that that is cancer cell growth and the proliferation, apoptosis and metastasis and the invasion. And the antioxidant activities, as we already previously discussed about it. So in a nutshell, we can say that curcumin is one of the very wonderful drugs which has been, there are many clinical trials which have been done to understand the normal functions of this particular curcumin. So it has also proved that this curcumin is having good beneficial effects on the cancer patients. And it has also noted that death rates have also remained at a static by the continuous uses of these things. So the curcumin because of its anti-cancer potential, that this curcumin is used for the many cancer patients. Because this anti-cancer mechanism of the curcumin mainly dependent on the inhibition of the cancer cell growth and the induction. So cancer cell apoptosis and the suppression of the cancer cell metastasis. So immune regulatory activities is also mentioned. The numerous studies have indicated that curcumin is beneficial to the immune system because it interacts with the immune cells to protect against the immune-related diseases by modulating various immune cells, such as various T cell subsets, macrophages, dendritic cells, B lymphocytes, and natural killer cells, and the improving the aberrant alterations of the immunological parameters. Another important recent updates on the crosstalk between the gut microbiota and the brain, an update of the neuroimaging findings. So it has been also proved that the recent studies which focuses on the gut microbiota, how this particular gut microbiota is suggesting is because there is an increasing amount of the evidences suggest that bidirectional communication between the gut microbiome and the central nervous system, which is also known as the microbiota gut brain axis, plays a very important role in the development and function of the brain. For example, if you take the example, alterations or perturbations of the gut microbiota are associated with the neurodevelopmental, neurodegenerative, and psychiatric disorders and modulation of the microbiota gut-brain axis by the probiotics, prebiotics, and the diet induces the preventive and the therapeutic effects. So that is why the current interpretation of the mechanisms underlying the relationships are mainly based on, but not only limited to the parallel to the central nervous system, endocrine and immune related molecular pathway that interact with each other. So that is why the many studies which have been revealed that peripheral aspects of the axis, there is a paucity of the data on how structural and functional changes in the brain correspond with that of the gut microbiota states. In the in vivo studies, it has been done. It is also done that modern neuroimaging techniques and other imaging modalities have also been increasingly applied to study the structure, function, and molecular aspects of the brain activity in living healthy human and the patient populations, which has resulted in an increased understanding of the microbiota gut-brain axis. That is also very important finding. This particular the picture which was discussing about how this particular gut-brain axis structure and function of the brain imaging, and how this particular images taken at the different time factors, and that indicates that arterial spin labeling or the various kinds of the images which have been taken indicates how this particular gut-brain axis are interrelated to each other, because there is a possible framework of exploring the crosstalk between the gut microbiota and the human brain, because the MRI, these are some of the pictures which have been taken from the MRI, which indicates that indicates how this particular alterations in the gastrointestinal tract, gut, and that is influencing the development of the various diseases. So that is why this also blood-brain barrier is also very important aspects of it. How this particular any alterations in the microbiota is passing the blood-brain barrier, and and it is causing the manifestation of the various diseases. So blood oxygen level dependent, as well as the functional connections and the magnetic resonance spectroscopy and the gastrointestinal and the gut microbiota. These are all the interrelated things which have been told. So that will help you to understand the this gut microbiota and the this thing. So the microbiome and the gut-brain axis is very, very important, because the bidirectional interactions between the brain and the gut and their relationship with it, with the third component, that is the gut microbiome, have received increasing attention in the recent years. This particular thing has been told in Ayurveda, Sarve Pirogaha Mandagna Kutaram Udaraniche, but this was recently the people are taking so much of interest in how this gut microbiome and the gut-brain axis is this thing. So emotional and psychosocial factors can also trigger the gastrointestinal symptoms such as heartburn, indigestion, acid reflux, bloating, pain, and the constipation and the diarrhea. So microbiome gut-brain axis is also the preclinical investigations done indicates that dysbiosis and the alterations of the gut microbiota are implicated in the pathogenesis and the pathophysiologies of the intestinal diseases such as the inflammatory bowel disease, neurological disorders, psychiatric conditions including anxiety, depression, autism, spectrum disorders, multiple sclerosis, Alzheimer's disease, and the Parkinson's disease. However, clinical evidence supporting such interactions in human remains relatively sparse. So it is under the studies. So another important review article published in the good journal. So that is indicate the microbiome in healthy skin and update of the microorganisms. So how this particular the microbiome role in the healthy skin and the microbiome, because the skin also contains a lot of microbiome because it is one of the important barrier because this particular skin is acting as a first line defense, and this complex barrier organ made up of the symbiotic relationship between the microbial communities and the host tissues via the complex signals provided by the innate and the adaptive immune systems, because it is constantly exposed to the various endogenous and exogenous factors which impact the balance system, potentially leading to the inflammatory skin diseases comprising the infections, allergies, or the autoimmune diseases. Even in Ayurveda, it has also been told that any alterations in the Rasadhatu, that will result into the development of the skin diseases. That's why the Toksara is mentioned as Toksara, not as the Rasasara. So it indicates that the gut microbiome in the healthy skin is also very, very important. It means that there is a healthy maintenance of the healthy rasa dhatu inside the body. It is very, very important. So that is why it has been told that this particular disease which has been developing inside the body in the particularly that some of the various causative agents which are present inside the body in the various part of the body. So that these are some of the areas where these infections are usually seen. See, in each and every part of the body, in the globular region, maybe in the alar crease, or maybe in the external auditory crease, in each and every part of the body, there is a presence of some sort of the bacteria that has been shown in the form of some of the actinobacteria, some of the bacterioids, cyanobacteria. Some are pathogenic, some are non-pathogenic. But if there's some of the sebaceous and moist and some are dry, and some are the distribution of the bacteria on the skin sides. So skin side there are presence of these bacteria in the normal conditions, but that we can call it as when there is when these are microorganisms naturally present in the skin, but when there is a declining in the immune system, if there is a declining in the immune status of an individual in that particular condition, these particular microorganisms or the bacteria can produce the disease. But naturally, normally present in the in the external auditory canal or in the alar crease, lot of microorganisms, especially bacteria, are present, but this will not produce a disease. But if the immune system has become declined, then this will leads to the development of the disease in the respective area. And also it has been mentioned that what are the factors leading to the dysbiosis and innate immunity in response to the skin is, there are drugs, there are injuries, there are some anxieties, lifestyle changes, ultraviolet exposure, hygiene important, nutrition level, and the sex, male and female, and the age group, ethnicity, and the regulation of the gut, regulation of the microbiome, stimulation of the innate immunity. This, and then if there is a dysbiosis is taking place because of this drugs, injury, lifestyle, and the, some of the old age factors, and the release of the AMP by the some of the burnt monocytes, and the microbiota, the stimulation of the innate immunity, and this microbiota in the deeper skin layers and the skin appendages, that is in the sebocytes. So that is leading into the development of the various skin diseases. So it is also mentioned in the modern recent updates that human skin is a very complex barrier organ made up of the symbiotic relationship between the microbial communities in constant dialogue with the host by the virtue of complex signals provided by the innate and the adaptive immune systems. This mutual elastic relationship leads to a well-controlled but delicate equilibrium, that is the microbiota, which is mandatory for a healthy skin. But the skin is constantly exposed to the various endogenous and exogenous, I showed earlier slides, the exogenous factors potentially impact this balanced system, thereby creating pathophysiologically relevant situations. So the lack of effective complementary mechanisms could thereby ultimately lead to inflammatory skin conditions such as infections, allergies, and the autoimmune diseases. So what is healthy skin microbiota? So this, you know, that the skin microbiota concludes two important groups. One is the resident microorganisms, which are relatively fixed group of microorganisms, that is called as core microbiota, that are routinely found in the skin and that re-establish themselves after perturbation. The core skin microbiota is considered to be commensal, meaning that these microorganisms are usually harmless and most probably provide some benefit to the host. Transient microorganisms, that's called as the tourists, do not establish permanent residency, but rather arise from the environment and persist for hours to days before disappearing. Under certain normal conditions, both groups are non-pathogenic. But recent research also showed that healthy human skin microbiome is stable over time despite the external exposure. So the importance of the healthy gut microbiome is very important. So recent research confirmed that the healthy gut microbiome is very important to maintain the health status. The composition of its microbiota may have a substantial impact on the clinical exposure responses to specific immunotherapies in cancer, exerting pro-carcinogenic or anti-carcinogenic activities depending on the microenvironment. So therefore, the maintenance of a healthy gut microbiome by preserving a balanced resident population is also mandatory. That's why unnecessary usage of the antibiotics and other which can damage the microbiota should be stopped. Again, there is a crosstalk between the gut microbiota and this particular gut microbiota and the role of and their brain update in the neuroimaging studies. It has also been established that the increasing amount of the evidences suggesting that bidirectional communication between the gut microbiome and the central nervous system, which is also known as the microbiota gut brain axis, plays a very important role in the development functions of the brain. Any alterations or perturbance of the gut microbiota are associated with the development of the various neurodegenerative and psychiatric disorders. Then the crosstalk between the gut microbiota and the brain and update of the neuroimaging findings. These studies indicate that the current interpretation of the mechanisms underlying this relationship are mainly based on the not only limited to the parallel to the central nervous system, endocrine and immune related molecular and pathways that also interact with each other. So the modern neuroimaging techniques and the other imaging modalities also shown increasingly applied to study the structure and function and molecular aspects of the brain activity in the living human healthy being, and also in patient populations, which has resulted in increased understanding of the microbiota and the gut-brain axis. Another important paper which has been published indicate the recent update, that is immunopotentiating significance of conventionally used plant adaptogens as modulators in the biochemical and molecular signaling pathways in the cell-mediated processes. Natural products, you know that natural products are of a great surge in the identification of the chemopreventive agents and biologically active molecules for the development of new promising therapeutic agents. A category of plants known as adaptogens maintain perturbed homeostasis, augment adaptations to noxious stimuli. For example, if you're exposed to the cold, heat, pain, general stress, infectious organisms, and other, offer the endurance to attenuate the several disorders in the human beings. So it is also known that some of the well-known adaptogens and the immunomodulators such as Rhodiola rosea, Cutaneous somnifera, Tinus caudifolia, Bacopa manori, Amblica officinalis, Listeria glabra, Asparagus racemosus, Osmum sanctum, and Panax notoginseng claim to have a significant antioxidant and anti-carcinogenic properties due to the presence of various biologically active chemical components present in them. So it is also proved that the immunopotentiating activity is mediated through the modulation of the T-cell immunity, biochemical factors, transcription factors, some genes, and the factors associated with the tumor development and progression. So the combinatory formulation of active immunostimulating constituent from these plants may provide better homeostasis. These immunostimulant factors suggest their potential therapeutic significance in adjuvant or supportive therapy in cancer treatment. So it has also been the recent studies which have been mentioned that in the effect of the Cutaneous somnifera and the CD38 expression and CD8 plus T lymphocytes among the patients of the HIV infection. So CD8 a reliable marker in the assessment of the HIV progression. And the Cutaneous somnifera, a traditional Ayurvedic medicine, has Th1 immunomodulatory properties. And it is also proved that this particular, it has been studied in 38 HIV patients with using the Cutaneous somnifera root extract standardized by concentration. So an overall decline in the percentage of CD38 expressing CD8 plus T lymphocytes was observed. Though the statistical significance was varied with the different categories of the HIV patients. So it all, with various categories of the patients, it all depending on the stages and the other comorbid factors. The Cutaneous somnifera is also known to be extensively explored Ayurvedic botanicals, and nowadays people are doing the work on this. Even Ojus is also taking up the multicentric trial on the ashwagandha. So because there's several properties including the immunomodulation, anti-cancer, and the neuroprotection of the botanical have been reported. So even though it's in indigenous medicine, this particular Cutaneous somnifera is well known for its immunomodulatory activity, the molecular mechanisms of the immunomodulation has not been elucidated. So it also unveils the potential of the utanoloid phytosterol combination to achieve a better immunomodulation. So ashwagandha is one of the very wonderful drugs. It indicates the understanding of the immunomodulation of this particular drug because of the bioactive formulation based on the drug discovery. Another important, the therapeutic uses of trifla, and it's an evidence-based practice which has been used by the people since last many years to treat the diseases by the usage of the Triphala. So Triphala is containing three wonderful drugs, and these three wonderful drugs comprise, that is the Emblica officinalis, Terminalia bellerica, and the Terminalia cebula. These are the three important drugs from the Ayurveda text, classical text. It has been mentioned. It is also classified as a tridosik rasayana in the Ayurveda, because it promotes the longevity and rejuvenation in the patients of all constituents, males and the ages. It is also proved that this particular triphala reduces the total cholesterol level, low density lipoprotein, very low density lipoprotein, and free fatty acids in the rats fed an atherogenic diet for the 48 days. This particular research also showed that. And it is another study showed that Haritaki is also one of the drugs which is having the hypolipidemic effects in the carbo-treated groups. A reduction in the total cholesterol, triglyceride level in the total protein, and the elevation of the high density lipoprotein cholesterol were found in the herb-treated group compared to the control group. So in a nutshell, triphala is a powerful herb to address the imbalances in the gastrointestinal tract and cardiovascular system, and should be more widely studied in context to development of these two diseases. It has also been proved that the antimicrobial potentials of the triphala, overall administration of the antibiotics has led to the widespread drug resistance. Thus, it is becoming an imperative that clinical researchers discover alternative and adjunctive antimicrobial agents with the high efficacy. So both triphala water decoctions and the demonstrated the antibacterial activity in the experimental studies. So radioactive protection of the triphala, it has also proved that because in the animal models, triphala intervention reduced the radiation-induced mortality by 60%. Antineoplastic activity is also proved. Various studies have been investigated. It's performed to understand the anti-cancer activity of the triphala. Because this exerts antineoplastic effect as many as cancer lines, including those of the breast, prostate, accident activity. The accident effects of the triphala have the potential to maintain the good high health, and it is also rich source of vitamin C and the flavonoids. Triphala significantly restores the glutathione levels in the eye lenses. So anti-inflammatory effect of also triphala has well also been proved that because its chronic inflammation is a deleterious and effect of most major chronic health conditions. So triphala has shown promise as an anti-inflammatory agent. Triphala performed better or equivalent when compared with the standard drug treatment for a variety of biochemical measurements of the inflammation. So triphala significantly reduced the inflammatory markers as well as the bone and the cartilage degranulation in the arthritic rats. Triphala has been also proved that it is having an anti-aging properties, because it exerted a highly protective anti-aging effect on the human skin cells. Because this affects the because triphala extract affects the gene expression of the human skin cells, stimulating collagen 1 and elastin synthesizing genes and antioxidant genes responsible for the cellular antioxidant superior dismutase. So triphala extract was also found to be inhibit the melanin production and the hyperpigmentation due to the presence of the protective phytochemicals. So the variable efficacy of the herbal therapies, what it depends, how this particular variable efficacy of the herbal therapies, why there is a variability in the efficacy of these, because there are many compounding factors responsible for this variability in the herbal source, where it has been originated, where the medicine has been collected, and what time it has been collected. The source of the very herbal source is very important. Some of the drugs are very should be collected from north, some should be in east, west, and the south. So that the herbal source is very important, and whether that particular drug which has been while collecting, it was matured or immatured, or if it has been diseased, that also needs to be done. Processing is also very important. Processing of the drug, bioavailability of the drug, digestion and absorption of the herbal components, cause the true efficacy of the herbs on the human health to be highly variable. So this variability is also known to be at least partially due to the inherent variations in the gut microbiota that act on the ingested components of the herbal. So this invariability is known to be at least variable partially due to inherent variations in the gut microbiota that act on the ingested components of the herbal remedies and transform them into compounds with increased bioabsorption and the bioactivity. So variable efficacy of the herbal therapies is also depends on the compounded the true efficacy of the herbal remedies as it pertains to the maintenance of the human health and the ability to reverse the chronic disease states. So tripla and the gut microbiome, it has been also discussed that this particular the drug tripla is such as quercetin and the gallic acid promote the growth of bifidobacteria and the lactobacillus species while inhibiting the growth of undesirable gut residents such as Escherichia coli. In addition, the lactic acid bacteria possesses the enzymatic activity to degrade plant tannins such as the gallic acid contained in the tripla. So tripla-derived polyphenols such as the tubulinic acid are transformed by the human gut microbiota into the metabolites such as urolithins, which have the potential to prevent the oxidative damage. So the bioactivity of tripla is elicited by the gut microbiome to generate widened spectrum and the abundance of the anti-inflammatory compounds. So tripla-induced benefits in both the elderly and the persons of all ages may be enhanced by co-administration of the specific probiotic species. So the probiotic formulation consisting of bacterial species capable of mediating the increased digestion, bioabsorption, and the bioavailability of the tripla may increase and make more uniform in the response and impact of the tripla treatment in the human population. So this is also determine the full effect of tripla on gut microbiota and the potential of the specific probiotics and increase the efficacy of the herb. Another, the recent studies I was discussing about the herd immunity is the word. The herd immunity is widely used but carries a variety of meanings. Some authors use it to describe that the proportion of the immune and the proportion of the immune among the proportion immune among the individuals in a population. Others use it with a reference to a particular threshold proportion of immune individuals that should lead to a decline in incidence of the infection. Still, others use this particular studies in terms of the in terms of understanding this particular thing. So it indicates that this particular herd immunity is very important thing which needs to be understood, because you should first, before understanding the herd immunity, you should understand what is acquired immunity. You know that this acquired immunity is established at the level of the individuals either after through the natural infection with a pathogen or through an immunization with a vaccine. But on the contrary, this herd immunity is very important. You scaled with the formally effective individual immunity scale to a level of the population, because it refers to the indirect protection from the infection conferred to susceptible individuals when a sufficiently large proportion of immune individual exists in the population. This is very important basic for the herd immunity. So that's why this particular some people are using this. The another important thing should be understood before going for the herd immunity, that is the sterilizing immunity. The sterilizing immunity by the vaccinating or by a natural infection, that is also, we can also indirectly we can call it as an acquired immunity. So that is why this herd immunity is very important, because this particular indirect protection from the infection conferred to susceptible individuals when a sufficiently large proportion of the immune individuals exist in a population. Because the common complex implication of the term is that risk of infection among the susceptible individuals in a population is reduced by the presence and proximity of the immune individual. This is known as sometimes it is referred to as indirect protection or a herd effect. So acquired immunity and herd immunity that I discussed and differentiated both how these two are different, because this acquired immunity is acquired by the natural infection with the pathogen or through immunization with the vaccine. But herd immunity comes from an effect of an individual immunity scaled to a level of the population. So it is also confirmed to the individual with a sufficiently, when exposed to the susceptible individual, a sufficiently large proportion of the immune individual existing in the society. I will not go much about this because I already discussed, but herd immunity and it is also the emergence of this acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus 2. This associated with the disease COVID-19 has demonstrated that the impact of novel infectious pathogen on a susceptible population. So this herd immunity concept needs to be immunization is a means to protect the greatest number of the people. By reducing the number of susceptible in the community, it augments the herd immunity, making the infection more difficult to spread. It's very important. It also reduces the risk for those individuals who have escaped vaccination or those who have not developed this satisfactory protection. It is well to bear in mind that immunization are not at all 100% effective, particularly when an individual is exposed to a large dose of the pathogenic organisms. So next one is about the immunonutrition and the methods and the applications. So this I already discussed when I was discussing about the food versus the immunity. So I will not discuss much about this because this immunonutrition is also very, very important for the functioning of the endocrine system, and because this particular immunonutrition is important for the nervous system, and the stress and the sleep, these are all interrelated to each other, and physical activity, food behavior, and the sedentary lifestyle all will make and compounding factors should be taken into account when it comes to the immunonutrition studies. So this is also the interrelationship between the compounding factors and the microbiota, because this microbiota again it all depends on the nutrition to adipose tissue, nervous system, and the immune system functions. So immunonutrition applications are the very, very important evaluation of the nutritional status through the immunological biomarkers in presumably healthy people with the risk of malnutrition, especially in children, adolescents, adults, and pregnant women, elderly, and the athletes. Different immunological and stress biomarkers can be studied in serum and plasma samples of the subjects in different life stages in order to detect the risk of potential malnutrition states, both by defect and the excess. So this immune system development begins, that in the utero environment, depending on the lifestyle and nutrition of the mother, and continues with the lactation. But after the childhood and adolescence are critical period in which healthy habits should be instaured, because installed and will have an impact on the adult age. Because in the old days, immunosenescence is linked to the subclinical deficiencies and effect in immune system, and the cognitive functions are the major outcomes. So that is why some of the studies which have been studies with the patient with diet and immune related diseases such as the food allergies, other atopies, eating disorders, obesity, metabolic syndrome, diabetes mellitus, cardiovascular diseases, different types of cancers, autoimmune diseases, including the fibromyalgia, multiple sclerosis, and Alzheimer's disease. Study of the nutrients affects bioactive compounds, both conventional and functional foods in the immune system. Assess the impact of lifestyle determinants such as the physical activity, exercise, sedentariness, food behavior, sleep time, and stress on the immune response. Short-term, the short sleep duration during the adolescence might play an important role and independent role in cardiovascular and metabolic diseases. reactive protein. That's why the sleep is very, very important factor. So in the adult age group, because otherwise it is going to make a risk for the development of the cardiovascular and metabolic diseases. So because the C-reactive protein is raised in case of the cardiovascular diseases, as well as in the acute phase conditions. Acute phase, it is considered as one of the acute phase reactant. So psychoneuroimmunology, nowadays the people are talking about the how this particular mind is playing an important role in the immunity. In Ayurveda, it has been told, Nahi Sarvani Srirani Vadik Samartve Srirani Bhavanti, Samarthani Bhavanti. In that particular context, it has been clearly mentioned that there are Stula, Krusha, Alpa Mamsa, Shonita, along with that Alpahari, along with that one word is being used as Alpa Sattva. So Alpa Sattva people are not competent enough to fight against the infections. So that's why nowadays the psychoneuroimmunology is taking up a very important step that is very, very important. Is also known as psychoendoneuroimmunology or psychoneuroendocrinoimmunology. Is the study of the interaction between the psychological processes and the nervous and the immune system of the human body. So because the key promise of the mind-body medicine is that a person's mental state influences their physical health. Very important. Ayurveda also said the same thing. However, but the evidence suggesting the supporting the brain and the central nervous system's influence on immune system function and thus potentially on immune outcomes. So the study of these interactions, psychoneuroimmunology has been growing a field since its introduction by the some of the studies which have been done. So it is also the central nervous system might regulate the immune function. Further, that the immune system might communicate with the central nervous system seems quite logical and have a clear adaptive values. So psychoneuroimmunology, there are three important components to be discussed under this. First one is the hypothalamic first interventions, including the lesioning studies, alter immunologic reactivity, and the elicitation of an immune responses alters the CNS activity. Second, there is a sympathetic innervation of spleen and other lymphoid organs, including the skin. Third one is changes in the hormone or transmitter levels produce changes in the immune function and vice versa. So finally, the lymphoid cells expresses receptors for a variety of hormones and transmitters. Thus, lymphoid cells are exposed to neurochemical ligands and express the receptors necessary to bind them. So these are all some of the stress, how this particular the stress which is affecting on the corticotropic releasing hormone or the corticoberin. So then about the adenocorticotropic hormone and the norepinephrine and the interferon and the antigen presenting cells, and then the how this will make an effect on the interleukin production of the interleukin 1 and the interleukin 6, interleukin 12, interferon alpha, and the interleukin 4 and the TH, that is the nerve helper cells, and these are all the then how this particular make an impact on the macrophages and the T cells, and that is resulting in the delayed type hypersensitivity. And this particular stress again acting on the TS2, interleukin 4, interleukin 5, interleukin 13, B cell, eosinophil, and mast cells, and allergic responses to the histamine and causing the inflammation. So the stress is very, very important component which make an impact on the corticotropic hormones, corticotropin releasing hormones, adenocorticotropic hormones, norepinephrine, interferon, antigen presenting cells, and that is resulting into the development of the nerve helper cells, antigen presenting cells, interleukins, and that is resulting in the development of the various hypersensitivity or allergic responses to the body and causing the inflammation. So that's the reason in Ayurveda it has been told one should go for a regular practice of exercise, yoga, indulgence in auspicious activities, strictly adhere to the principles of Dinacharya, Ritucharya, Sadruta, and Achara Rasana, healthy practices related to the diet, conduct, and activities, and the control over the sense organs are very, very important. So that is why it has been also been told that some of the therapeutics are also come to for the immune system, encompasses a large group of therapies such as hypnosis, meditation, yoga, biofeedback, tai chi, and visual imagery is also advised. And it has been observed that the usage of dinacharya, ruticharya, and ashtanga yoga, along with these hypnosis, meditation, yoga, biofeedback, tai chi, and visual imagery, reiki, all those things will make a very good impact on this. So lastly, I will discuss about some of the aspects of how this bidirectional relationship between the sleep, how this particular sleep making an impact on the immunity against the infections. So it has also been studied that this particular the sleep is very, very important component in the development of the various, as I mentioned earlier. So the sleep deprivation is one of the important factor for the development of the cardiovascular disorders, as well as the relationship between the sleep effect of the sleep, as well as the on the viral infections and bacterial infections and other infections. So you know that this particular sleep is a physiological process that has been proposed to have a restorative and regulatory properties in the human being. That is why in Ayurveda it has been told that the three Vidupastamba, Ahara, Nidra, Brahmacharya, and sleep is one among them. So that is why some of the this particular alterations in the skin in the influence of the human immune system, because any alterations in the immune regulation is also related to the sleep and the immunity against the infection. So take for example the one example of the effect on the infection and the sleep, because you know that the brain is linked to the immune system. Similar interactions are occurred during the sleep, where in the brain activity changes resulting in the putative awake brain and sleeping brain. So there is an evidence of expression of the molecules such as neurotransmitters, hormones, and cytokines, and that is modulated while the subject sleeps. And human studies have described changes in the serum levels of the some of these components during sleep, specifically secretion of the interleukin 1 beta, interleukin 10, interleukin 12, and the tumor necrosis factor alpha by monocytes and dendritic cells peaks during sleep independently of the circadian rhythms. So that is why this the behavior may be indirectly related to sleep, because when an animal is deprived of the rhythmicity of these cytokines, the changes in the expression wane. So the blood levels of the monocytes, T cells, and natural killer cells follow a clear circadian rhythm during sleep-wake cycle. So notably, the other neuroendocrine mediators such as prolactin, cortisol, and the norepinephrine also exhibit circadian rhythms, but their secretion pattern is more related to the sleep-wake cycle. So all these compounds modulate the immune response. So this is again told that how this particular sleep in relation to the some of the viral infections, how this virus infections, especially the lesions in the brain and infiltration of the infiltrated mononuclear cells in response to the virological infections entering inside the body, interferon alpha, and the immune response starts, and then will be resulting of the this thing. So this is also this parasites, how these parasites are these parasitic diseases and sleeps are interrelated to each other. So these are all some of the microbes and the targeted viral standard RNA and the peptidoglycan, lipopolysaccharides, and the cytokine release of the cytokines, neurotransmitters, and the hormones, immune responses, endocrines, the circulating the brain and the vagal influences, occurrences, and brain images, and the sleep regulatory normal neurons, and these are all if there is an alterations in this, will develop the inflammatory conditions. So to conclude that some of the studies which have been told by the Bangalore municipal corporations that 57% of the Mumbai city population has developed a COVID antibodies, so that may be correlated with that of the herd immunity. So thank you very much for patience hearing. So and now I just open for the discussion. Any questions? I can take the questions because I think it is a vast topic because there are many recent studies, many recent updates are going on the Veledictory in relation to these things. So, any questions? I can take the questions pertaining to this topic.
Thank you very much, sir, for a very informative session and highlighting the importance of evidence-based research for more validating the Ayurvedic science to the scientific world. We have got few questions, sir. Sir, is there any clinical study conducted to evaluate Ojus quantitatively?
There are many questions. I think you are also hearing, and many of us are also hearing the same questions. But there are two kinds of Ojus. One is the para Ojus and the upper Ojus. So para Ojus we cannot measure it out because these are all the signals which passes and it will give a stimulation to release certain kinds of the hormones that I told earlier, interleukins. So upper Ojus can be measured in the form of the interleukins, in the form of the interferons, in the form of the mast cells. So this can be because these are all the components of the immune system and those can be used as a marker to assess the upper Ojus status because the level of the upper Ojus which has been mentioned in various classical texts of diseases in pertaining to certain diseases. Take for example in Panduroga, in the Madhumeha Roga, even in the Rajakshma Roga. So in most of the diseases, even the Ojo Nirodhaka Jara, there are many areas where it has been told. So if there is an upper Ojus reduction is there, so that is that the body is lacking in immunity to fight against the deadly infections of any kind. So that then body fails to release these kinds of interleukins and the interferons, antigen presenting cells, and then there is a failure of the overall neuroendocrine mechanism that can be compared with that. That kind of studies can be taken up comparing the upper Ojus with that these parameters.
We have got one more question, sir. Prakritastu Balam Shleshma, it is mentioned in classics. So can you please throw more light on this based on clinical researches, if any, sir?
Because that is one of the in the immune system and explaining about the, you might have heard mucus that is called as malt. You might have heard the name malt. So that particular thing can be compared with that of the kapha dosha. So because that the kapha is very important marker which protect it acts as a barrier between the causative agents with that of the infections, because the release of the secretions, any secretions, maybe some of the secretions of the mucosal secretions either from the respiratory tract or from the through the gastrointestinal tract is very even through the central nervous system, because these secretions are very important component of the kapha. And this will help to eradicate and expel out or to kill those microorganisms. So that we can call it, that we can take it as an one. And another one is that I told malt associated with that the lymphoid system or the lymphatic these things. So that can be taken with that of the kapha. But there are many diseases which have been told in context to the kapha dosha vikaras. In the kapha dosha vikaras, where there is an kapha is very important thing, but even then out of the nanatmaja vikaras, the kapha nanatmaja vikaras are less in number, because of the persons who are of kapha prakriti persons are not developing, because having the good immune system, so they are not suffering from the most of the diseases. But on the contrary, the vata prakriti persons and the pitta prakriti persons are having the less immunity, the mild to moderate immunity. So that is why these people are more prone to develop the diseases. So that is why the kapha is always considered to be, the kapha prakriti person are considered to be the best, because these persons are not susceptible to the infections very easily in compared to the other individuals. So that is why the kapha is considered to be one of the important component for the immune system.
Thank you so much, sir. Let me now express my sincere gratitude and happiness on behalf of JSS Ayurveda Medical College, Mysore, for accepting our invitation, sir, and giving us a wonderful lecture in Ojus 2020. So by this, we have come to the end of scientific session. Thank you, sir. Thank you all the delegates. Stay tuned. We will be.
I'm very much thankful to the organizers from the JSS Ayurvedic Medical College, Guru Basura sir, Madhusudan, Dr. Shivanand Government, Desh, and Dr. Veena madam. Your name, please. Aapka naam?
Dr. Vishal, sir.
Vishal, Dr.
Yes,
Vishal, and the entire team, my friend Dr. Rajesh Udpudi, and the recently Kar sir is also joined as the principal. Principal sir also, because I'm very much thankful to all the members who are involved in organizing this conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. We will be starting with the valedictory ceremony in a short while. Please stay tuned.
Respected Dean sir, Dr. Banigol sir, Dr. Dhamble sir, we will begin the session in a while. Few minutes, sir.